the fairy tale story, The Great Realization, is going gangbusters online right now. And in case you missed it on the show yesterday, here's a bit of a snippet.
And so when we found the cure and were allowed to go outside, we all preferred the world we found to the one we left behind. Old habits became extinct, and they made way for the new. And every simple act of kindness was now given its due.
But why did it take a virus to bring the people back together?
Well, sometimes you've got to get sick, my boy, before you start feeling better. Now lie down and dream of tomorrow, and all the things that we can do. And who knows, if you dream hard enough, maybe some of them will come true.
Now, the man in the video is poet Tomos Roberts, aka Tom Foolery, and he lives in the UK, but was actually born here in Aotearoa. And the video hasn't just got us excited. Word on the street is he's been getting calls from Hollywood celebs as well. And Thomas joins us now. Morena!
Good morning. Good evening. Good morning.
How very cool is this? Now, I don't need to ask you about the inspiration for this, but at what point did you feel it was important to tell a world story about COVID-19 and its effects?
Well, I feel like we're all looking for, ways to spend this time. And, I tried to allude to that in the poem. There's a section where I say, some people started singing, some were dancing, some were baking. And it's the sense that we all have, these things that are hobbies, which now actually a lot of time, unless you're a core worker who's going to work in the hospitals, you've got time to explore those things. And so I was very interested in, propagating a hopeful message. And I think it says a lot about the Kiwis that you chose the latter part of the poem, which is the hopeful part, to broadcast in the clip then.
Now, are these your observations, experiences, or was this conversations that you had with others?
I mean, definitely. Everything comes from the way you're feeling, and the way you're feeling comes from the people around you. And I think I was feeling a lot of feelings of fear and anxiety coming from the information that we're consuming and the people that I was speaking to. And I think that there was a place for that, definitely, because we're in a very uncertain time, and there's a lot of suffering around. But I also think that if there's not some hopeful messages, then it opens the door to a lot of anxiety and depression, and I was interested in trying to find out what those hopeful messages were.
Now, I know that spreading hope, optimism, and being socially constructive is things that you've got a heartbeat for. So are you surprised that it's taken off around the world?
I think if someone wasn't surprised by this reaction, they would need a bit of a reality check. They'd have a slight problem with the old ego. Of course, I was truly surprised. I think, only certain pop stars get to presume they'll get this many views.
So, and as a result of this, as we said in the intro, Hollywood has called. Tell us about that.
Suddenly, when you present an idea that gets a lot of attention, a lot of people are prepared to support you and support that idea, and that's happening a lot at the moment. But whilst there have been people, who I still consider to be celebrities reaching out, also I've heard from members of my family that I haven't spoken to in a very long time. I've actually got a very good friend. One of my best friends, Dylan, who was travelling around New Zealand when coronavirus hit, and so got stuck quarantining in one of your hostels. And apparently you've looked after him very well, so thank you for that.
Well, it's good to hear. Now, you've articulated what many of us feel in that poem. Was it, how easy or difficult was it to actually write?
The writing part is the quickest part for me. It's the thinking that I find takes a long time. So you begin with a thought. I'm surrounded by fear and anxiety, and then you move into a place. Okay, well, how could I project a hopeful message? And you set yourself that challenge, and that's not an easy thing to do in this situation. And you don't want to make light of a situation where people are dying and there's so much hardship, whether that's financially, economically, or in terms of your life. So the only hopeful message that I could rest my finger on was that potentially we would look back at this tragic time as a turning point, and a point in which, because of the disruption of coronavirus, we have an opportunity, to reevaluate certain balances in our lives that may have gotten out of balance, and potentially that could be a work-life balance, or the way we interact with, our families or the people around us, or our attitudes towards wealth distribution. And so I thought, if you could be in that future, that desirable future that we kind of are striving towards, looking back at this, and it's nothing more than a bedtime story, of the way the world used to be, then that could be hopeful for people. And I think people are very resilient. I think people need a very small amount of hope to do incredible things and get by. But I feel like, that's lacking. I can't speak for your country, but it felt like it was lacking in my country. And I really think that, your Prime Minister, she's actually, around the world, we are looking at her as an example of someone who is, leading the way in terms of her ideas and the way she interacts with her people and being progressive. And I know she's not perfect, and there will be things she can do better, but compared to, some of the leadership in other parts of the world, it's really exciting, what you guys have got going on there. So keep going.
It's been a thrill for us to have you on the show. Absolutely love what you've done, and some beautiful thoughts and words from you this morning, Tomos. Really appreciate your time, Tomos Roberts.